Dinner in Hell band, ladies and gentlemen. They're incredible, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
Tearing it up as always.
I just love how they set the tone for every episode. It's just, we're going to come in like a freaking jackhammer.
Like razor precision.
So, man, today I'm excited about today's episode. Oh, what am I doing? I'm jumping the gun here. What's the name of our show?
Well, welcome back for another exciting edition of the Dinner in Hell podcast, where two amateur historians talk about the atrocious underbelly of history. I am one of those amateur historians, Brad the Impaler, and with me, as always, the legendary Ron Maiden.
Hello, and thank you, Brad. Great to be here.
What's happening, Big Cat?
Just kidding. Great. What's happening? Shoot. Beautiful day today.
Yeah, fantastic weather.
Yeah, spring is here in the northern hemisphere. Excited to get back to the show. I'm excited about today's topic because we're going to be brutal.
Yeah, back to the show, back to basics, back again.
Where?
To the pain game.
That's right.
Yeah, this is an old school Dinner in the Hell, straight up carnage episode.
We're going to bring it like episode 1, scaphism.
Yeah. And why don't you tell us, Ron, what we'll be talking about today?
Shoot. Today we're going to be talking about a device used for execution. This was a device that was made from like a general item that was around the empire. We're going to be talking about the breaking wheel.
Oh, you bet your sweet ass we are.
Tell me about the wheel. What is the wheel? Just give it to me.
So like you said, the breaking wheel is an execution device, and the method of execution specifically in most cases involved the victim being fastened to the wheel with their limbs the same way as the spokes, flat on their faces most of the time.
Oh, okay.
Or their
belly
backs.
down.
Yeah, sometimes belly down, sometimes back down.
Belly down makes sense.
Yeah, and all of their limbs were broken.
Yeah.
By getting hit with, let's say, a steel bar.
Club. Shoot. Jackhammer.
Big ass piece of iron.
Big old sledgehammer.
Yeah. They just break all your limbs. And in various ways, extra and above and beyond brutality sometimes came with it. Also interesting, in some of the cases, the wheel was the bludgeoning device, and you just get beaten to death with a wheel.
Yeah. They're like, I need to, you know what, just strapping them down, that's cool and everything, snapping their bones, but I get a lot more out of it physically when I'm actually smashing their femur with this big wooden wagon wheel.
Yeah.
That weighs a ton.
And there's a demonstration that you shared. You were kind enough to share with me today.
Yeah, I was just messing around and on the Google search results for breaking wheel execution, blah blah blah. I was doing some late minute searching, and one of the first video result is these guys in this crazy like dungeon, like mock dungeon, like check it out. This is the Iron Maiden, the nail thing. Mm-hmm. Just like these guys that have like these replica or replica, but
like recreations.
Yeah, of devices.
Yeah.
So they had this like beef leg bone. Like they're like, now this isn't a human, this is a cow, so they wouldn't be exactly the same.
But cow bone much thicker than human femur.
Right.
Yeah.
So he picks up this wagon wheel and it looks like it weighs about 65 pounds the way this guy's working. He's a big guy. It looks like he's lifting like a bag of like cement that's that heavy. And he drops it on this bone and it bounces on it. And then he picks it up one more time and snaps it in half. Like 2 hits to snap his femur.
A cow femur, not a human one.
Yeah. Right. And like I said to you, like in the text, I was like, but that wasn't like surrounded with thigh meat. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like that thigh meat's going to absorb a lot of that shock.
On a cow, it might, but if you're thinking of like a cow femur can withstand way more punishment than a human femur and 2 inches of.
That's our strongest
muscle.
bone. You don't think you think you could get through a man's thigh femur with that wheel?
Fuck yes.
In one shot?
Yes.
Wow. I don't know anybody that's broken their femur.
The way the wheel's shaped, because it's like a circle and it's heavy, like 65, 75 pounds, when you slam it on something, and like if it was square, it wouldn't do as much damage, but because it's circular,
the design of the
focuses all of the weight onto the small part of it, just the part that touches the bone. That's where
the apex.
That's where all of the force from the bludgeoning action is generated.
Yeah.
Yes, it'll snap a human femur like it's nothing.
And like hockey players snap femurs, don't they?
That does from time to time
happen. Goalposts and stuff.
More likely,
from a check.
Their leg was trapped going like a body was here and they get hit here.
Football too, probably.
Yeah, football too. And that's one of the most dangerous bones to break.
And the most painful. That's level 10 pain.
Because if it fucking slips like an inch, it'll cut your femoral artery and you'll bleed to death in like 8 seconds or some shit.
They say
like if you get your femoral artery cut, there's like nothing they can do about it. You just immediately die. If they could maybe tourniquet above it, but they might not even be able to do that. And in that scenario, your best case scenario is you're down a leg at the hip.
Okay. We were talking about the force of the apex of the power center of the wheel. In some of the era.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not right off the bat when they first made the wheel, but like down the road, wouldn't they like line the edge of the wheel with a thin strip of steel for like over cobblestone?
Yes.
That would even be more freaking awful.
Yeah. I believe that would probably have been the case with most of the wheels that were done as bludgeoners. They were probably steel around the end.
And so, yeah, they would break what they would do is they would break between your shoulder and elbow, and then elbow and hand. Same with your legs, upper and lower bones of your legs. And then they would break your spine.
Mm-hmm.
And then you wouldn't die.
Well, that's specific to the Holy Roman Empire.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because sometimes they were strangled.
Well, the wheel was invented around 3500 BC, but the earliest record I have for it being used as punishment, other than casual mentions of it occurring in antiquity in Greece and then Rome, was in Imperial Rome. In the early 4th century, there was a woman named Catherine of Alexandria, and she was executed by the Roman Empire for refusing to renounce her Catholic faith. They said, hey, you're not allowed to be that faith, be a pagan. And she was like, nah, fuck you, shove it, emperor. But he didn't like that, so he condemned her to be executed by breaking on the wheel. But when she got to the execution place and she touched the wheel, it miraculously broke under her slight touch.
Nice. Like Jean, the X-Men.
Yeah.
Jane, I love you.
So, because of this miracle, she's one of the most prominent Catholic saints. She was apparently one of the saints who visited Joan of Arc in her visions.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And probably gave Joan the faith to stay true to her personal beliefs.
Yeah. And the miracle that saved her from breaking on the wheel, people really revere that, but it doesn't make very much sense to me because, yeah, she didn't get broken on the wheel, but she was immediately beheaded.
Right.
Like God saved her. But not really. Now, as any longtime Dinner in Hell listener knows, an immediate decapitation is what we generally recommend as opposed to the long, drawn-out torture sessions.
That's your dream. You don't want the wheel.
Yeah, boom. You want it done.
Beheading, please.
Yeah, especially like one of the guys that'll come up a little bit later on in the episode you'll hear about.
I heard that before, you were saying how God saved her with when she touched the wheel and it broke. And then, like, I heard that before the guy, like, beheaded her, he knelt down and whispered in her ear, like, all wicked. Like, he was like, "Where's your God now?" And she was like, "What?" And he was like, "Funk, thump, basket, Catherine in a basket."
Dun, 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 bam.
You got it. Here's Dinner in Hell. We're back in the Bane game, Volume 2.
Well, anyways, that's why sometimes you'll hear the breaking wheel referred to as a Catherine wheel, because she didn't die on one. She died adjacent to a broken one.
You mentioned that the very first thing you said was the wheel was invented in 3500 BC or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that same thing, and I saw something about it saying that it took 3,500 years to figure out how to even make the wheel. Like, dude, how it took you that long, man?
It would have been way longer than 3,500 years.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think of civilizations like Mesopotamia and stuff, that's like, or like really ancient Egypt, there's evidence of civilization around like 10,000 BC.
Oh, yeah, then why would they even say that? Because they were like, wheeling rocks around.
It took people... No. They still didn't have wheels. It took them 6,500 years to learn how to make wheels.
Jesus. That's embarrassing.
Dude, there's shit people invent today where I'm like, how the fuck didn't I think of that? It's so simple, so obvious.
Yeah, lint roller. Just kidding.
That's a good example. Like, whoever has that fucking patent has many, many millions of dollars. I guarantee it.
Fingernail clippers, the silver ones, they're all the same.
Yeah, whoever has that patent is rich. Fuck.
The lighter, Bic, like that flint wheel device.
Yeah, same thing with the wheel, I guess. Took them a long time to invent it, but it was one of those things.
And they must license out that patent to like the shitty knockoff lighters.
Yeah, this is like last week when we talked about the Mayan culture. They never invented the wheel at all.
Right, they were carrying everything around on foot or by canoe.
Yeah, they never invented it because the terrain they lived in, like in a mountain. Fuck, you can't get around a mountain with wheel shit.
Yeah, dense forest.
Yeah,
they don't clear roads. The vegetation will move right in.
Yeah, that's why they're walking or they're canoeing.
Didn't you tell me that there was one like empire civilization would actually drive a nail into the person's head?
Yeah, that place is the Holy Roman Empire.
Nice. It's
the best example we have, like the most descriptive of their process when they would use it to execute people during the late Middle Ages, the early Renaissance. In the HRE, the wheel was reserved as the sentence for men convicted of aggravated murder, which is like murder during the commission of another crime. So like if you were doing like a highway robbery, and then you killed somebody, that was wheel time.
Stealing a horse or something.
Mm-hmm. And it was also given as the sentence.
Wheel time for you. I like it.
It was also the sentence for men who killed a family member.
Shame.
Yeah, really wanted to discourage those two types of murders in particular, I guess. So how it would start is the victim would be drawn on a litter by a horse to the place of execution.
Explain that. Drawn means dragged by rope.
Yes.
And what's a litter?
It's like
the board, the sled kind of board thing.
Kind of, yeah, but it would be like
not pleasant.
Almost like the thing, like, you see like an injured soccer player and they put him on that like neck stabilization board.
It would only cover his torso, not his limbs.
No, it would he'd probably be tied up, but I don't think he would take much of a beating from the road.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he would kind of be like the wood would be underneath him the whole time.
Okay, protecting him, his vitals.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd be pulled to the place where he'll be wheeled to death.
Yes. And also in the case of the Holy Roman Empire, they were one of the places...
Man, it was concussions.
Also in the case of the HRE, they are one of the places that use the wheel as the beating device.
Yes.
So after the victim was drawn to the place of execution, he would be bound face down with arms and legs bound outstretched to boards.
Wait a second now. Okay. Let me try to paint this picture. The wheel is standing upright.
The wheel is
positioned
being
upright?
held by the executioner.
Okay. So this man is only outstretched. His limbs are just outstretched to boards in it. He's spread out like an X.
Yeah.
Arms and legs. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. And then the executioner is holding the wheel.
Yes.
So behind his legs is open air, right? For the wheel to go through. There's nothing behind, or is it just on board? Like you would, if it was me and I was designing this thing, I would make it so there's nothing behind here, so it could go through.
Yeah, I think it's likely that would have been the case too.
Not like a butcher's block.
Like he's on one board face down. There's another board parallel to it on his left that his leg and his arm are tied to. So nothing here. And then another one on the right.
Yeah, so it's snap time. Snapping limbs.
Mm-hmm. And then he would beat him with the big heavy wheel. Mm-hmm. It would involve hits below and then above each elbow and below and above each knee. And every single one of these hits would snap the bone.
Dude, like the most badass wheel killer, wheel guy, wheelsmith. He was known as 5-Hit Charlie.
Yeah, he'd get the whole body done somehow.
He's like, I could do it in 5. I know one time I saw a feller do it in 4. How the hell? Don't even ask, bro. How you do 4?
That's a really good HRE accent.
Actually, that was Mickey Mouse. How do you do 4? Oh, why? Oh, why? I used to do cartoon voices.
That's a good Mickey Mouse.
You just say, ho, hoy. Ho, hoy. Oh, why? I'm Mickey Mouse. I know you got some voices in you, so don't even try it.
I have some.
Come on, Gollum. I'll get a Gollum out of you one of these days.
Maybe, yeah. You'll hear it one day. It'll come up organically at some point in time. There'll be something about a ring, and I'll lay it on you.
We've already heard your Hannibal. You're going to have to go find Brad's Hannibal amongst our past shows.
I think I've done it twice. Yeah, so after the limb-shattering blows, when your arms and your legs are broken twice each...
Which one would you prefer first? Wrists?
Fucking none of it.
Wrists or bicep bone?
If they do the top one first, maybe it would dull the pain of the bottom one.
God
maybe.
Damn it.
But they never did it like that. They always did the bottom blow first, then the above one.
Shit.
Yeah, so it was real specific about that.
So awful.
After the limb breaking blows, they would beat the spine until the spine was severed.
5-Snap Charlie would be like, one hit. Got that.
Maybe he'd get like a leg break and the spine break at once. But that wouldn't be regulation, because then the victim it wouldn't be going according to plan if there was an accidental spine break. So what would happen after the spine was severed was most of the time at this point they were dead. In fact, most of the time they would be strangled after the first couple of blows.
Thank you.
It's like they were listening to a Dinner in Hell episode and like, just strangle him, please.
What if you found out that in the future someone heard our show, went back, and did this torture method just to be featured on our show in the future?
Oh, I would feel so flattered.
Like, what if we said something weird like this is how I'd improve it, and in the future they went back in time because everyone had a time teleporter.
Yeah, but how would they ever let us know? Because we would just assume it was like historical fact.
No, like for all we know, do you remember the guy that ate the suckling babies, Brazen Bull?
Yeah.
Like his name, we don't remember his name. Do you remember his name specifically? I don't. But
Parallels.
Parallels. Okay. What if Parallels never like even existed? This guy, his name's Parallels, that lives like in 2079.
Mm-hmm.
Teleported back, started eating babies in like Rome and like Sicily or wherever it was. You know, his name's Parallels, and just to get his own Dinner in Hell show.
Yeah, he'd get in the show, but wouldn't it be better if there was like some sort of Easter egg they could plant? Like if this ever pops up in history after this point, we'll know that a time traveler has done it just to get on our show.
That's crazy.
Fucker probably doesn't follow us on Twitter, but he'll go back in time and kill a bunch of people.
Yeah. Wow, that was some...
Yeah, but in some cases, the victim would be alive, even after the spine breakage would paralyze them from whatever point the wheel came down. Mm-hmm. What would happen next, even if they were dead, this whole process was still continued, is their limbs would be woven into the wheel.
The spokes?
Yeah, they'd like wrap your mangled arms and legs through the spokes of the wheel.
Your like jagged, broken bones are like kind of like if you take your finger and push it through the sleeve of your shirt, you know?
Yeah.
You got like bone piece poking this way, that way, femur, fibia.
I've got one for you. Imagine when one of those bones is snagged on the wheel and they tug it.
You're like, God damn it. At that point, you're just in shock, dude. You've pissed yourself at that point.
Not necessarily.
So they hang you, or they weave your limbs through the wheel.
Yeah, the next step is to attach you to the wheel, what was generally done, and in almost every case this sealed the deal, is they would nail you to it, and one of the nails would go through your skull into the wheel. So after that...
That's what you're... Yeah,
you're done. You're out. You don't have to worry about any more pain. Except sometimes
you didn't die.
People live through that too.
By the way, I think you left out just a little tiny, precious little detail of this when you weave his arms and legs through the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
They would take that wheel and hang it up in the sun.
Oh yeah, I was just about to get to that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, they'd take the wheel and hang it at the top of a pole out in the sun, and it would just be left there until it rotted.
Yeah.
So there were some people who were alive for as much as hours after being hung on top of the pole.
The crow population thrived in Rome in the HRE. Friggin' vultures and crows were like, this is awesome. Keep up with the bird food. I'm talking about the dead corpse.
Yeah.
Bird food.
Yeah. And sometimes they were alive while the birds were, pecking their eyes out. And they're defenseless because they're nailed to a wheel with broken limbs and a broken spine.
In Brad's fantasy, they were still alive, being eaten by birds.
Yeah, man.
Brad hopes.
Well, I don't have to. It did. It did happen.
Didn't you say that there was... the HRE would sentence serial killers to this method?
Yes. As a matter of fact, there are two very interesting serial killers, alleged. They confessed under torture, so maybe not, but probably. Two very interesting serial killers executed by the HRE via breaking on the wheel named Peter Neers and Christman Gnipperteiga.
Simple, rolls off the tongue. I like it.
Yeah. And a matter of fact, they're going to be getting a special episode next week, all on them. I'm
going to be all next week during the week. I'm going to be just saying that name over and over.
Christman Gnipperteiga.
That's right, Gnipperteiga.
Gnipperteiga.
Yeah, you're going to hear my real pronunciations come alive. So they were serial killers, and they were both sentenced to the wheel.
Yep, they both got broken on the wheel.
One of them was apparently confessed to like 500 murders. The other one was like up there. He claimed to reach 1,000, or that was his goal.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, we figured we're gonna give these guys their own freaking split 7-inch.
Just for them.
Ottomans get involved with the wheel.
Yes, unfortunately for the Indians, the occupying Ottomans were fond of breaking Sikhs who refused to convert to Islam on the wheel. And the Sikhs revere these people who died this way as martyrs, and they remember them daily in their prayers.
And there's
they got the traditional strap to a wheel and breaking with a cudgel.
Sikhs is the like if you see a man like with a big bushy beard and a turban, like if you're living in the U.S. and occasionally you see a guy like that, or like a group of them, that's most of the time is a Sikh.
Yes.
Yeah. But there's like people out there that don't realize that, and they'll be like, God damn Muslims.
Yeah. They don't realize that Muslims don't fucking wear turbans.
Right. And in reality, the Muslims freaking were breaking them on the wheel to try to get them to be Muslim. Like they didn't even want, they were dying to not be. Like,
yeah. And I've got some gripes with almost every religion. I don't really have any gripes with the Sikhs.
Yeah, they're pretty chill. One of the most chill religions.
Yeah, Sikhs, I can't think of many problems I've got with your religion. Also Buddhist. Everybody else, I got problems.
Take me up north. Let's go to that big old island up north.
Yep, over in Scotland in 1603.
They're playing golf. Inventing golf.
Robert Weir, a servant, was broken on the wheel for the murder of the Lord of Warriston, John Kincaid, on behalf of Mr. Kincaid's wife. So like a murder for hire plot, I assume there was some sort of clandestine affair going on between Miss Jean Kincaid and the servant Robert Weir. So
Jean Kincaid like goes on a merry way?
Nope. Right after Mr. Weir was beaten to death slowly, Jean got beheaded for her part in the incident.
Let's talk about use of the wheel on U.S. soil.
Oh, that definitely happened too. The breaking on the wheel was used both by the British and the French empires in the New World, putting down revolts in New York and Louisiana. Louisiana for the French, New York for the British, in the early 1700s. So, not very long time ago.
Jeez, yeah. Because America was only, 1776. Early 1700s, man.
Yeah, but pretty much right before it became a country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you didn't want to be a slave.
Oh, not a revolting slave. You could have according to that, was it Ben Carson, is that his name?
Mm-hmm.
That political guy?
Yeah.
Politician. He's like, yeah, slaves were earning a hard-working wage or
they were like hopeful.
Yeah.
Like, and they had a better life. Fuck no, they didn't.
You graduated like high school? And what, you're a surgeon?
Hey, anyway, hey.
It's crazy.
DPS, baby. Detroit Public Schools.
That's funny.
Also, prominent users of the breaking wheel were the Swedish Empire. In 1707, Swedish King Charles XII condemned Johann Potkel to death by breaking for treason. Around this time, the Tsardom of Russia was fighting with the Swedish Empire in the Great Northern War. It was basically the Swedish Empire versus fucking everybody. And Sweden used to have, like, Latvia. They had provinces in the Baltic. The Swedish Empire was big. I had never heard of that shit, but obviously the dynasty's old as fuck if they've had 12 Charleses in charge of it.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So it must have been a really, really long-standing kingdom before this shit, but I never heard much about it before. They used it all the time on prisoners of war. They were breaking people like fucking crazy. Potkel gets it for treason, for betraying the empire.
Right.
And Potkuhl had a friend, a priest named Lawrence Hagen. And the way he describes it is that Potkuhl took 15 blows, 15 like beatings with the cudgel, and it didn't do much to him. Some of the times it broke his arm, but some of the times it didn't.
Potkuhl's like, can't hurt steel.
And after every single blow, some of those to the head and neck, because the executioner, who was not good at his job.
Was it his first time?
I don't know.
Did he win a contest?
Some people said he did it on purpose because like he had some sort of personal vendetta against them.
Yeah. That was actually what I was thinking, was like, this person wanted him to go slow. Like, we talked about 5-stroke Johnny. Mm-hmm. Like, now we're looking at this executioner with a 15 hit. Like, he must have hated Potkuhl.
Yeah, and he's still alive, screaming and like begging for his life the entire time this is going on. Finally, after 2 heavy strokes directly to the chest, his like general spirit and like his ability to be loud finally broke, and he started to quietly beg the executioner to cut off his head.
That'd be me.
Doing so much as even like throwing his head over onto like the chopping block. Like begging to get his head cut off, and he finally did it. And this fucking bungling bullshit executioner took 4 strokes to get his head off.
So do you think he went like stroke on one side of the neck, stroke on the other, and then another deep finish?
Maybe, yeah, but he tortured the shit out of this guy.
What an a-hole executioner. They should make a show about like an executioner, but like a real bastard of an executioner. And like they should
like a slacker, like he just like hates his job, like Workaholics, but about an executioner in the Middle Ages. That's like the elevator pitch.
No, dude, they had a show called Bastard Executioner on FX.
No shit.
It lasted like a year and like no one watched it. They're like, fuck you, FX.
Yeah, I definitely didn't.
Because, you know, Game of Thrones got really big. Mm-hmm. So, like, boom, FX busted out the Bastard Executioner. Like, it was all about the life of... I didn't watch it. I don't think anyone watched it because it's... Bye now. That's what I was making a joke. Like, they asshole executioner.
Yeah, shit. I never even noticed that existed.
It's exactly, case in point, why it's not fucking on anymore. Oh, during the late Middle Ages, we're in France...
Mm-hmm. Early Renaissance, like I guess the heyday for this sort of behavior. The French used it all the time. They were one of the biggest practitioners of it. And we get an interesting term that we still use. I say it all the time. The phrase a coup de grace, like the finishing blow. That's where it comes from.
I think I've heard you say it on the show.
I bet you I have. I say it all the time. Those are the final blows on the chest that finally finish the victim off. And the French method, the coup de grace. That's what they're called. That's why we say that. And right next door, where it continued on the latest, where the longest human practice of using this method of punishment went on, was Germany.
What year?
It lived on in Germany as recently as 1841.
God damn it. That's fucking crazy. They're driving cars, aren't they?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on a second.
There's like ancestors were alive then that like I know the names of. Yeah, like my oldest, like one of my ancestors, Rufus, came to the United States. He was probably alive in 1841.
Okay. I was trying to think of, I was racking my brain of when the automobile was invented. I was thinking, like, was there car tires at this time?
Not even close.
Yeah, the first car was like 1885, so 40 years later. But
Yeah.
that would have been funny if it was like a Model T tire, like, crank
it up. They just let his limbs get broke by like the kicking crank on the front of the Model T. Yeah, so this shit was still going on until 1841. Although it is to be said that in its later period, the victims were all strangled before any part of the wheel breaking process went on. They were all dead for like the showy dismemberment. But still, that sets a pretty potent example. And it was reserved for the most heinous of criminals.
Treason, got it.
Yeah.
Murdering a family member, got it.
Yeah. It was just mostly stuff like that. Or just like, if it was normal practice today, like Ted Bundy definitely would have been broken on the wheel. That would have been what happened to him.
Yeah. You'd probably find Tim McVeigh on a wheel.
Yeah, Tim McVeigh wheeled up.
Yeah. He'd be all in the spokes, braided through it, feeding like turkey vultures of the California Condor Reservation.
Mm-hmm.
Our convicts would probably feed the condors that are protected. I don't know. So when did we first hear of the use of the wheel? 4th century?
Yep, that's the first one we talked about today.
And you said, and you kind of brought up how long ago the wheel was invented.
Mm-hmm.
When was it? Like 8,000 BC?
3,500 BC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it took 3,500 BC plus 4th century. So what is that?
Well,
7?
they were doing it in antiquity, so you're talking ancient Greece. You're talking...
I'm trying to think of like I was looking up like how long did it take them to decide to use this awesome invention for death? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So the first time we hear of use of the breaking wheel is 4th century.
Well, it actually was used earlier on in antiquity in Rome and Greece. So It could be assumed that it was in use as a capital punishment by around 1000 BC. That would be the earliest that it would really be possible.
Okay. And when did you say the wheel? We said 3,500 BC.
Mm-hmm.
So how long did it take them for them to decide, like, hey, let's use this wheel over here for execution device?
2,500 years.
Man, I love your math skills.
Longer than it's been from now until when Jesus was born. Longer than that. 500 years longer.
When did Edison make the light bulb?
That would have been 1879.
Wait a second. I meant, yeah, okay. So we're not saying Edison invented electricity, but Edison invents the light bulb in 1879. The electric chair's first execution of a person was 1890. So that was, 11 years?
Yeah, 11 years.
It took him 11 years to do this amazing invention of electricity. Like, hey, what we fucking around for? What we pussyfooting around for with this electricity over here? We kill with it.
Yeah, I can't wait until we figure out how to kill people with the internet.
Yeah, we're just going to, you just get, your camera will just disintegrate you.
Yeah.
Your clothes will just fall like War of the Worlds.
Well, if any of you Dinner and Hell fans design it, at least make your body zap into confetti, so it's kind of fun.
Well, I have a question for our Twitter followers, and welcome aboard to our new Twitter followers. Appreciate you checking in and clicking follow. Appreciate it. There's still room. You can still get in now before it's maxed out. There is still room for more people. If it doesn't take much, if you have a Twitter, you just go to us, you click it, you find out when we're having new episodes online. It's that simple.
Yep.
Sometimes we post a picture. Free picture. Earlier in the episode, we talked about, or earlier in the episode, you brought up coup de grace, the final blow. And I was like, oh, I know you said that in an episode before. And you're like, I'm sure. So I want to know if any of our people out there listening can send us the episode, impossible the minute that Brad the Impaler says coup de grace. So you got to think, you got to search it out. Why would Brad say coup de grace? Why would final blow come up? So we're not talking, Dancing Plague. Don't even bother.
And the first person who tweets it to us will send some Dinner and Hell shit to. You gotta follow us so you can direct message us, and you'll win a prize.
If you can tell us an episode, let us know when Brad says coup de grace by April 30th, 2017. We'll send you a Dinner and Hell's piece of swag.
Yeah. The first person who does it.
It'll be something unique.
Yep, just for you.
Twitter. Let's tell them where they can find us.
Well, first of all, the Twitter, we're on there. We're at Dinner and Hell Pod. You can email us at dinnerandhellpodcast@gmail.com. We're at dinnerandhell.com. We're on Facebook, SoundCloud, YouTube. Please don't forget to rate and subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher or any other of those podcast applications.
We respond to all communications.
Yep. Thank you very much for listening to us, and we hope you had a great time.
Dinner and Hell Band is just crushing it.
Studio audience was excellent today. It felt great to have a full house again.
Yes. Good to see your faces again. It was exhilarating.
Thank you, Ron, for an incredible show.
Thank you, Brad.
Good night, everybody.